So welcome once again. It's always a great pleasure to host one of these webinars. And it's always an opportunity to connect with yourselves. Sometimes children join us and with our audiences, parents, and just develop a more important relationship through this avenue. By way of introduction, for those that might not know me, my name is Lara Okpo. I'm an education consultant and a reading therapist with going to be 10 years this year, actually, in May, where I started my journey in supporting and working with teachers, children, and parents to find innovative, exciting, and sustainable ways to transform teaching and learning. I really do love teaching reading to children because as young as 3, the transformation is incredible. But first of all, I'm a mom of 2 incredible children. My son is now in year 10, and actually that's how I started my journey into this part of my life. I'm an educator, but most importantly, I'm also a parent supporter to ensure that their children are equipped with the knowledge, the confidence they need to, one, have the reading expertise and knowledge to be able to have a solid foundation, as well as just guide us through until our children are in a position where they're able to stand by themselves. So to introduce Ant Learning, we are a private tuition provider of reading, maths, English, and science to children aged 3 to 15. So we teach children up to year 10 at the moment, so from nursery to year 10, and we support children to develop essential skills. And confidence, for me, is quite important so that they're able to ace their entrance exams if they're writing one, or even be able to go through school confidently and with the right competence in the subject areas, key subject areas at school. A bit of housekeeping. Camera can be off if you want, or if later on you want to put it on. If I can ask us to stay muted just so that we can hear each other when we're talking. And if you have any questions, please put it in the chat. I'm trying to limit my presentation to 20 minutes so that we have the opportunity to speak to other parents that have come on this journey with us since we started 2015 in Dartford, and the most recent children that actually completed 11 plus last year, October. So 2 of their parents will be talking to us as well. So that would just want to give us the opportunity to ask any question. And also, if we have other questions, pop in the chat and don't forget, or you can write it down. And if you are bold enough, you can unmute yourself and ask the question at the end. Great. We will start off. So today's webinar, as I said, is everything we need to know about the 11 plus. So I'm going to start off with what is the 11 plus, and then go into more details about it. So the 11 plus exam, some of the information are basic and some of them you might know, but please have an open mind. And this is just to make sure that parents that are not really informed about what 11 plus is, we can also carry them along. So the 11 plus exam is taken towards the end of the primary school, so autumn term of year 6, and is a competitive selective exam to allocate spaces to grammar school, independent school, or semi-selective schools. Taken in September, October, depending on your location, and the test can include a selection of 4 key subjects: maths, English, verbal and non-verbal reasoning. And I'll leave a caveat here as well, depending on the council you live in and the exam you're taking, some will involve maths, English, and these other 2, and some could also just be verbal reasoning and without the non-verbal reasoning. So we just need to make sure that we know the requirements for the areas that we are focusing on. So when is the 11 plus? So for grammar school, mostly early mid-September, when children have just started year 6. So just imagine coming from 6 to 9 weeks of holiday straight into the exams. For independent schools, they have a bit of grace and usually taken towards the end of the autumn term, sometimes in December or January, although some tests in February as well. So I'll go through the key subjects that are covered and a few of their curriculum right now. So for the 11 plus maths, numbers, place value, addition, subtraction, if you want us to send you as well a curriculum, we could do that, just so that I don't waste much of our time. Fractions, including decimal and percentages, ratio and proportion, algebra, measurement, geometry, properties of shapes, direction, coordinate, statistics, and then it goes on and on. But these are the key 11 plus curriculum that is covered. So the syllabus is based on the national curriculum for England and Wales, and they recommended 11 plus maths book. So for the independent school exams, recommend the ISCB guide Galore Pack books, and for the grammar schools, children should familiarize themselves with the GL and CEM style books, depending on the area you are targeting as well. So it's always important, check the requirements of the exam board that your child will be sitting, and they will specify if it's GL, if it's CEM style. There are dozens of such books available in Waterstones, W.H. Smith or Amazon. And generally, we recommend that all students cover the maths books up to age 10 to 11, depending on the version you were taking. And in independent schools, we would say 11 to 12-year-olds books allocated to 11 to 12 years. They can be a bit more competitive. Okay. So we'll go into the 11 plus English curriculum. 1 second. It's based on the Key Stage 2 national curriculum, and proficiency in spelling, punctuation, grammar, and sentence structure is very important. Strong reading comprehension skills, being able to answer questions with precision, clarity, and in a full manner. Wide vocabulary reading and discussion with adults, and the ability to write creatively. Some schools do not do creative writing in their 11 plus. A lot, if not all, of the 11 plus independent school, your child will be required to write composition aspect of the English exams. If they're not, they will tell you, but some grammar school do not require that. In the preparation that we offer, we cover both. One, because writing is a life skill that we want the children to develop. And even when they get secondary school, even when they're writing summaries in English, summaries in science, the child needs to be able to write very well. So I would recommend that in your preparation, as much as we want to focus on just passing exams, we want to develop life skills in your child. And during the preparation for 11 plus is a key time to do that. So we'll go on to the next one, which is the verbal reasoning curriculum. Children are not taught reasoning at school, so I will recommend that you expose them as early on as possible, even from year 3. Bond's book make this available, written for age 7 to 8. You can start with that. Our kids are very intelligent, so the more you expose them to these kinds of topics, the more they get familiar with it, and then they can follow through. So as I said, for the reasoning, the curriculum, closest in meaning, anagrams, following instruction, hidden words, these are things that are not taught in school, but your child needs to familiarize themselves with it through exposure and through repetition as well. Next, we go back to, so the part of this assess children's ability to handle both language and conceptual thinking. So it's very important that as we go through this with them, if there's a particular area they do not understand, they need to do a bit of thinking. So that's why it's called reasoning, right? So to give you a clear picture of the verbal reasoning component of your child's 11 plus test, we recommend practice books, which will allow your child to gain an understanding of the sort of skills which will be required of them during the exams. It's important that your child is exposed to this so that it's not like, it's not strange when they see it at exams. Next up is the 11 plus non-verbal reasoning. Unlike the English and maths 11 plus, which have the advantage of closely corresponding with skills and knowledge your child will encounter in school, non-verbal reasoning is also not taught in school, but it's important your child has a very good foundation of English and maths to be able to access reasoning and non-verbal reasoning curriculum. It requires children to engage with shapes, patterns, and logical thinking. This is an area which most of our parents cannot help their children with, because I did not learn non-verbal reasoning at school. But our children's minds are very vast, and they are able to access this knowledge. However, they need to be exposed to it as soon as possible. Year 3, I would say from year 3, just so that even as easy as it gets, they're familiar with the types of shapes, the rotations, the code breaking, missing sequence, and things like that. And the best way to keep your child become more familiar with this area of the 11+ exam syllabus is to slowly introduce them to them. Okay, so now I'm going to just talk about grammar school. There are 164 grammar schools, and they are selective in nature and aim to take best performing students. With the introduction of the 20% VAT to private school, grammar school is even more, not just competitive, but parents that would normally have taken their kids to independent school are now looking more at the grammar school option. We have state boarding school, so it's also an opportunity or something you can have a look on, which can be selective as well without the charge of fees. You just pay for the boarding option of it, but the education is free. So just to give us options as well. I'm going to talk about independent school. So independent schools are either secondary schools or primary schools which charge fees. Some are selective, others are not. Many provide a wider set of study options for our children, a lot of extra curriculum. The structure is huge, wonderful. And depending on your approach, it could be primary school focus on independent school, and then secondary school, you want to focus on grammar school. The mix and match depends on what works for you. For myself, primary school was more of a great option for us to focus on independent school, building these skills in these children, and then we shifted to grammar school for the secondary school. However, whatever works for you, it could be independent school throughout, or it could be comprehensive or state school throughout. But what is important is our children have good education. And fees range from £12,000 a year to £6,000 a term, and it goes up when they're in the senior school, which is the secondary school. They do offer bursaries. They also offer scholarships for able children as well. And so there are different exam boards. I'm going to talk about the exam board. We've got CEM, which is the Center for Evaluation and Monitoring, Independent Schools Examination Board, GL Assessment, the Consortium of Selected Schools in Essex. And depending on your borough or your council, or where the school you want your child in, that depends on the exam board that will set the exams. Specific schools set their own exams, so you just have to do a bit of research to know the schools you're interested in, what exam board, or do they set their own themselves. So other exam boards like SET, that might present questions differently. Again, with this in mind, we strongly recommend checking in advance. As I said, the 11+ school and paper your child will sit on the exam day, so that we can shape their preparation accordingly. Now I will go into the options available to you and how we prepare our children for the 11+. So here are a few options. Private tuition, so that entails one-to-one or group tuition. Guided courses where, for example, Atom Learning, it could be self-paced where it's recorded, your child just completes work online or listens to the recording, or you buy books. If, for example, you're a very hands-on parent and you know what you're doing, you just buy some books and do it yourself. Schofield, Simmons Schofield are good books, CGP Bond books. Whichever option you choose for your child, we just would like to make sure that, one, you know what you're doing, it's right for your child, and if it's not working, change it as soon as possible. If you've chosen one, trust the process so that your child has enough exposure to the option that you've chosen for them. Okay, so everything a parent needs to know. So let's talk about your choice of school. Choose the school. So my child, let's say, for example, my child is in EM4, we still have 2 years. What school? I don't know what school I want my child to do. Think about it. Is what's important to you? Do you want your child to travel? Is it a very academic school? For example, Queen Elizabeth Boys, Kikiwi Boys, is that the right school for your child? Or does he have opportunity to foster an all-round child? So you have to think about what school you have in mind. Will my child travel? And if they are going to travel, is half an hour good enough? Or is that too much? I want to be able to drop my child to school. So you have to think about it and think about your child and how your child fits into that school. As much as we want our child to go to the most academic schools, is that the right thing for your child? You know, so there's still very good grammar schools, independent schools that are focused on a total child. So whatever choice you make depends on your choice for your child. Next week, your child's school does not prepare your child. So I keep saying that because sometimes we speak to a lot of parents that believes that their child goes to a fantastic school. Yes, they will prepare their child. Your child's school will not prepare your child. If your child goes to an independent school and it's a prep school, so meaning that after year 6, your child must go to a secondary school, then your child will prepare your child. So prep independent school, because they know that after year 6, we must find a place for your child. For state school, you have options of comprehensive school, church, faith schools, or what's the other school now? Academic school, academies. So we've got options like that. But please, if you want your child to go to a selective school, independent or grammar school, you have to put in the work to prepare your child. Next, you have to think about the exam board. As I mentioned before, is it GL, is it CM, is it ISEB for the independent school? Once you know the exam body your child will sit the exams, then the preparation can be done accordingly. For example, if you're doing GL, the child is sitting GL, you don't want to be preparing CM, but actually most parents do different schools. So you might need to prepare your child for GL, for SS Consortium, for ISEB. However, the 11+ curriculum is vast enough, depending on your choice, to be able to support your child for both exam boards. Okay, check your local council to know when the application is required to be done. Every year, we still have parents that they've spent 2 years of preparation and then they forget to register their child. It's a crime. I don't mean in a bad way, but your child has worked so hard. You've invested in preparing them, the time. Please, when it's time to apply, you need to make the application. No matter how much you prepare your child, if you do not apply, forget about it, your child will not be prepped for. Those are for grammar school. Even for independent school, if you don't contact the schools, pay the application fee, register your child will not be able to sit that exam. So it's very important that you do the needful for both grammar school or for the independent school. You need to make sure that you register your child. Majority of the councils, they start by beginning of May, some towards end of May, and some early June. For those that are with us in our planning, we do send a reminder for the local councils and the dates where the application is necessary to be done and to be submitted, because some start it, some don't finish. So please, once you start it, just make the application. It's better to start and finish the application and not just think about, I'm going to do it. You can't forget. So please always check the date and make the application on time. Decide on how you want to prepare your child. Is it group tuition? Is it one-to-one? Is it guided books, or is it guided courses? I usually encourage parents that if, for example, your child is in year 3, year 4, it's a long stretch, it's a marathon. I would not encourage one-to-one, because the risk of burnout is very high, because one-to-one are kind of intense. It's just your child with a tutor for an hour. It can be boring. I don't mean boring academically, but children really do learn from themselves, and class banter, class encouragement, it really makes learning fun. And even for those in year 5, it's a long stretch. You don't want your child to be exhausted there. So I am always a fan of group tuition, and sometimes we also supplement one-to-one if we see that a child needs support, extra support in a particular topic or area. have a plan and follow it. We find that there's a lot of competition amongst parents when it comes to the exams because, oh, what's your child doing? This is what, oh, I'm going to go there. What's your child doing? No, find your own plan and stick to it. If it doesn't work, stop, review it, and make another plan. However, if you keep hopping from one tutor to another, one will confuse your child, different approaches are taken, and you don't want to also exhaust your child. So you just have to make sure that make a plan, follow it, review it. There are different ways you can assess if your child is making progress. Are they retaining knowledge? What they have been taught, when you ask them questions about it, are they able to follow through? So that's very important. And complete the application. I will always remind us this, please complete the application. Without the application, your child cannot sit for the 11 plus. Great. So that applies to both independent and grammar school. And finally, preparation and study skills. This is the bedrock of success for the 11 plus. No matter how great a tutor you have, no matter how great you've done all the work or the books, if there's no study skill and a plan involved that your child follows after school, it makes this very tricky. You want a solid foundation of after school routine. What does your child do after school, during the holiday or during the weekend? I'm not saying everyday learning. No. After school, what are they doing? If after school, every day your child has 2 hours of extracurriculum activities and they're sitting the 11 plus, that's a lot. You do not want to exhaust your child because we have to think about them. And also, we are the parents, we have to be custodians of their time and what's important at this time. Music lessons are important. Sports, they really still need to do it if they do enjoy what they're doing. However, this is not a time to add another music lesson or another games onto their schedule. You want to make sure at least, even if it's 1 day of music lesson, an hour a week, if it's another time of swimming lessons, whatever it is, we don't want to exhaust them because they are only little. Remember, they are 8, 9, 10-year-olds. So we don't want to exhaust them. Towards the end now, skills to ace the 11 plus. This is about study skills and preparation. Study skills and right environment, after school routine, great preparation options, solid revision plan towards the end, the last 4 weeks, and most importantly as well, fun and family time. Because at the end of the day, they are for our children. Their happiness is important. We also want to make sure the dynamics of the house, of the home, is conducive and not stressful for them to be able to study. And we want everybody to study as well. You just don't want one child sitting on the dining table and reading while everybody's watching TV. That's not nice. So how to help your child this time? When we talked about the schools, 1 second, just to get so think carefully about, is the school right for your child? So let's go back to this school that I'm thinking about for my child. Is it the right school for my child? Giving the children a good balance between work and other activities is essential if they're to perform at their best. Children get a lot of homework at school, in secondary school. So if they have long commute to and from school, is it the right one? What preparation route or approach are you going to take? If you start early, concentrate on core skills, English and maths, and then as we introduce verbal and non-verbal reasonings. Reading every day. This is a very important skill. There's 11 plus reading suggested books that helps build the vocabulary that are tested at the exams. So we provide our children with the reading list. I'm sure some of the groups we're in also provide them. But the most important thing is making sure your child read it. Like, there's so many books. Yes, there's so many books, but we don't want to read for the exams. We want to read for knowledge. It could just be the last 20 minutes before they go to bed. Let it be their own time on the bed, reading a book. If you have time, join them and just ask them a few questions about what they've read. Because we want to make sure they're learning new vocabulary, they're understanding what they've read. They're understanding what they've read, and they're able to give you a summary of that. So reading every day, making sure times tables are absolutely rock solid. Child cannot do fraction, they can't do division, they can't do anything without knowing their times table. It's very important From year 1, I encourage tools timetable, jumping in tools, year 2, 2, 5, and 10, then introduce 3, 4, 6 as soon as possible, because by year 3, they are introduced to division, short division. Without the knowledge of times table, everything else cannot happen. So it's important for maths, times table is introduced. Spelling work, a classic example of work that will benefit your child educationally, especially with the English assessment as well. Children need to learn the material before being tested. I hear this a lot from parents. I want my child to do mock tests. Why are you not doing it now? Why? Doing mock tests 9 months to the exam, I'm talking December before the exam, when your child is supposed to be learning the concept, is a bit too early. We don't want to discourage our children. I want to be tested on what I know. I don't want to be tested when I don't know something. We don't want to make, we don't want to demoralize them. We don't want to demotivate them. So the right timing for testing is very important. I suggest from April. Some parents might think it's too late. Based on the time, just going to take a sip. The reason I say April is just to make sure that before then, you've ensured that all the concepts have been taught. And now, from April onward, we're able to do practice papers and keep up to that. Keep pressure and stress out of it. Your child is more important than 11 plus. And I will say that again, your child is more important than the 11 plus. I love our kids and I want them to do well, but a happy child is a child that would learn. A happy child that's in the right environment where they're encouraging them to learn and kindness is being shown to them will learn a lot more than a child where it's being forced down their throat. So it's important that let our children understand why we want them to do these exams, understand your child's capability as well, and let's build them up because we don't want them to be stressed. Most of the time, parents are the ones stressed and not the children. So develop a wide vocabulary. One of the key reasons some children are successful in their 11 plus and others are not is because some children have a wider vocabulary than others. You know, reading books, going to exhibition, asking questions, talking to your children, using powerful words, using keywords. This helps build their vocabulary. It's never too early to start helping a child to develop their vocabulary, and just little things, talking to our child is important. That would help them. And don't talk to them as if they're children. Talk to them the way you talk to your colleagues. And so that when you say a particular English word and they don't understand it, then they'll ask you, Mommy, what does that mean? And you have the opportunity to tell them. Times tables, it's very important that your child knows the timetable. I've mentioned that before. Don't move too fast in maths. We have parents that want to jump to very complex topics without the foundation, especially if your child is in year 4 and you want them to prepare for 11 plus. There are some key foundational topics that we need to make sure they have. I call it pre-11 plus or the 9 plus program, because that gives them the right confidence, the right foundation, so that when it's time to increase the pressure with a lot of information, they have the capacity to do it because the foundation is right. Make your plan, stick to it. Okay. If you are not muted, can you just mute? Make your plan, stick to it, as we said. And the last one, develop stamina in your child. This can be done through your after-school routine, practice papers, when the time dedicated to study, just make sure that they have the capacity to do that. I'm not going to spend much time on 12 weeks revision plan because it's a bit too early for that, but I will just run through it so that we have enough time to answer questions and also hear from other parents. So each week, so let's say, for example, 12 weeks. So this is this is July, August. June, July, August, let's say 12 weeks revision plan. Each week, continue to work on core skills, keep this fresh, mix longer and shorter tasks. Structure worksheets where we're doing probably 20 questions in 10 minutes. You're trying to increase the speed, you're trying to increase accuracy. Each week, do 1 practice papers on each of the core subjects. So it could be, remember, they're going to school, at least June, July, they're still at school. So it could be 1 practice paper every day. 1. If they're going to tuition, they might have a bit of work from that. but at least 60 to 90 minutes of practice after school is important. Some children do well before school and some children do well after school. My kids, one of them is an early bird and the other one is a night couch. So you need to understand which one is your child and the best time to do this. Structure mock exams at home if you're doing it by yourself, just so that you can monitor their timing, you can monitor the speed, the accuracy, the different strategies that we use to make sure that the children are able to keep up and develop stamina as they go about it. So 4 weeks revision plan, revise key topics again, attend summer school. And the reason I always put this on, it's not just because we run 3 weeks of summer school. Few parents have asked us to do 4 weeks, and I'm thinking you want to kill your children because it's intensive 9 to 3 every day. However, the reason I introduced this is even if you don't bring them somewhere, you have a structure at home to make sure that there's daily practice of past papers. You pick up key areas and topics that they need support in. And the last bit, rest, play, and relax. As it is very, very important that your child is relaxed. It's very important that towards the end, they're not burning out. That's why I don't really encourage one-to-one at the beginning. Towards the end, you can do a bit of that because you're targeting a few weak areas. But making sure that your child is relaxed is important. Next is a few days before the exams, easy routine, days before with good nutrition, even now, making sure that we relax the grips and we give a bit more healthy snacks, reduce the pressure, reassure your child. Remember, your child is more important than 11 plus. It's a happy, healthy child that will go to that school. So your child is very important. Organize yourself before the day, get the route, know where the parking is, stationary park, print the direction, have the address, and have everything laid out. And on the day, ensure your child eats, you're calm, you wake up on time, reassure your child, be on time, arrive early. And in the exam, I'll speak to your child just to prepare them to keep their focus, read the instruction, focus. It's just you. You are your own competitor. Ignore everything around you and just let's do it to make it happen. And last of all, how can we help at Ant Learning? One of the things that really gives me joy is seeing children come to us, some from 3. And I think a few of the key parents that will speak today have been with us since their child was 3.5 or 4, and being able to be part of their journey to success and passing 11 plus. So one of the things we do, we ensure that the foundation is right through early reading mastery. We make sure that the core skills in maths, English, and science tuition is grounded. Primary school, maths and English focus. Secondary school, we introduce science. And one is to make sure your child is confident and competent in this subject so that they've got the tools to be able to excel at school. Entrance exam success, 4+ entry to independent school, 7+. My kids have gone through all assessment possible in primary school, the 4+, the 7+, and the 11+. And we thank God that it was successful. And being able to stand out at interview is something that I personally prepare the children as well to do this. Hi, Janet, how are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. Thank you for joining us tonight. Just tell us about your journey with Ant Learning and JC.
Well, thank you for inviting me. Hello to all the other parents. We joined Ant Learning when my daughter was about 5, just before she was 5. It was a recommendation by another parent because my daughter was late with speech. And the school seemed to be focusing on speech and not the education. So while all her friends were going home with books to read, she came home with pictures, motor skill, toys, and things of that sort. So a friend said, listen, if she talks eventually, she'll be expected to have the same level of education because they're not going to redo what her friends are doing at the moment. Why don't you take her to Lara? So we joined. We were not talking yet, but we learned to talk. Well, we learned to write. We could sing, and we learned through songs. And within about 2 terms of joining Lara, we started to speak. So by the time my daughter familiarized the words, she could do her numbers well. and we were consistent. We came every year. We had a couple of summers away, but in terms of the termly education, we were very consistent with it. And I don't regret it. I'm a working mother, so I work from 9 to 5. I often get home after 7. My child goes to after school club. And I found that the books that Earned Learning provided for us were just having the right content and just enough for her to go through the week. So we used Earned Learning books throughout. Most of the work, the first page is self-explanatory, or at least there are notes for parents to guide the child if she's struggling. We didn't have so much of a problem because we attended every week. So my child had the guidance at school. In fact, half the time I wanted to help, she would be like, no, Mom, Miss McDonough told me how to do that. Miss Agebi told me how to do that. I'm all right with it. So we carried on. And for the other parents, I just want to let you know that sometimes when you speak to other mothers, it can feel like you're not doing enough.
Yeah.
But if you're consistent and you're doing the work that you're being given, it's okay. I have a lot of parents that I would meet at birthday parties that made me feel almost incompetent as a mother, because they had 2 or 3 tutors. They were going to summer school every time. They seemed to be doing mock exams from year 4. We'd never done any. I'll come and say to Lara, listen, I think we're behind. And I really started panicking. And I can tell you, Lara, I don't think I've said this to you before. My daughter passed all the 3 exams, and those parents didn't.
Wow.
So you can overwork a child. I have a very good friend of mine, including the lady that recommended me to you. Her child passed one in the wrong area. She failed the Kent test. She failed the Mayfield test. And those are the nearest schools to us, because I think she had gone everywhere, and everybody teaches things differently. And I'm not saying don't have another tutor if that's your way. But what Lara said before is very important. Your child comes first. And none of them can do more, because when I did ask her eventually, this friend of mine, what happened, she says, oh, sometimes they couldn't do the homework because it was too much from all 3 tutors. We stuck to Lara's books. We did the whole of the summer school before the 11 plus, and all that was full of mock testing. And honestly, I don't regret it. We passed the Kent test. We passed the Medway test. We passed the Mayfield test with very good marks. We don't have problems of thinking we're on the benchmark. We're guaranteed to getting into any school. In the beginning, I used to ask Clara, why do I need to do all 3? But then I realized mothers were doing 3, 4, so I went for it. And now that I've done it, I realize why. Because there are those parents whose child failed one exam, but they passed in a different county, and there are means of getting to those schools. There's transport. So you can still get into a school outside of your council, as long as you can commute there. And I think these councils are near to each other, and every area has got some form of transport that you can link into to get your child there. So yes, now I realize that a lot of the advice we were given had a reason, even though when you're busy, I think for me it was more I was working overtime. Some of the meetings like this one I didn't attend. So everything to me was alien. But I don't regret having joined Earned Learning, because it's everything that we did was Earned Learning. And my daughter passed very well. So yeah, I encourage everybody, just do your homework, keep on top of it, do ask questions. If you think your child is not passing the tests or the work in the book, do speak to the teachers. They are very helpful. But if you don't talk to them, they might not come to you, because they have sometimes 6 or 7 children, and sometimes they don't know how the parents are going to react. So you might need to just be proactive. But it does work. It's worked for us.
Thank you so much, Janet. It's lovely. I mean, that was one of my best stories for 11 plus, because we both know JC started a bit late with our speech. But one thing I do commend with yourself is when you trusted the process, you were always on my WhatsApp.
Yes.
And I'm so grateful for that, because when those school run and the parent tells you, why are you not doing this? Why are you not doing that? You will send me a message like, why are we not doing this? And I just like, we can't overwhelm these children. They are already doing a lot. They're going to school. Just trust that we know what we're doing. And thank you for trusting. I'm so happy that JC got through, and fantastic work. Do we have any parent that have a question for Janet before I call in Abby, and then we go into the question and answers? I'll just have a look through the chat. Okay, thank you so much, Janet. My regards to JC.
Thank you. Thank you. We really do appreciate. And to all the parents out there, when you're at the school gate or you meet up on these birthday parties, you will hear a lot. Parents are doing a lot of things. But I can tell you, now that we've gone through the exam, I'm talking to parents and they're telling me what they used to do. And some of it is similar, some of it is slightly different, but nothing like the exam. And what we did at Ant Learning was my daughter came back. I remember writing to Lara, and she could tell me everything in the paper. She said, we did this, we did that, we did that. This came up. We did antonyms. That didn't come up in the Medway. That came. And she'd done everything from Ant Learning. That's all we did. The only other thing that we probably did, as Lara has said to you, when we had this Zoom meeting like you're having today, and they talked about past papers, I started buying the GL papers, and we did one. Because I work, we couldn't do it every day, but every second day we did a paper. Yeah. So by the time we started in April, there aren't so many. I think there's about a pack of 10 or 12, which Lara will give you most of them anyway. But we did them and we finished them and we did them again. And what I noticed is, and I remember texting you, Lara, on WhatsApp, in the beginning, she got 54. By the time we were in about May, June, she was getting 75, which is the recommended mark. But we continued to do them again. Just do them in pencil, rub them out, or write the answers in another book. By the time we got to the exam, she was getting 98, 99. So we did that along with the stuff that Lara gave us, and the teachers will give a lot of stuff during the classwork. Yeah. And that will take you through the exam.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Great. Have a good evening. And thank you. Abby, are you on? Where are you?
I'm here.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I'm here. I don't know. It wouldn't let me put the camera on. It keeps saying the host. Oh, there we go.
We can see you.
Yeah, good evening. Good
Hi,
evening,
Abby.
everybody.
Okay, let me give you a little intro. Abby and her husband have been a client since 3.5, right?
Yeah.
Yes, when Aurora was 3.5. They've been one of our greatest supporter, and I'm so glad that as well that Aurora passed our exams. So over to you.
Yeah. Good evening, everybody. Yes, thank you so much, Lara. What can I say? It's been a journey, 3.5 when we started doing the reading program. And one thing can I just say is that with Ant Learning with Lara is that it's one thing to have a business that people know about, but it's another thing to have the owner of the business who shares the passion that you share as a parent. And obviously she's gone through the same process herself, so she understands the shoes where you are as a parent as well. And I think there hasn't been a moment where I haven't panicked about one thing or the other. And I'm like, Lara, this, that, and the other. And she's been like, can you please calm down? It's okay. She's very reassuring about every single process. I mean, there were times when Rara was struggling a lot with getting through, understanding the work. And Laura would be like, okay, can you book the extra sessions so that, the teacher can go through it? And honestly, the panic, you just be like, okay, Laura said not to panic, so let's not panic. We'll go through. She knows what she's talking about. And honestly, that journey, I remember it was one person that introduced us to Ant Learning, and ever since then we've not looked back. And then my younger daughter also joined as soon as she was, in fact, I couldn't wait for her to join. I was just like, she used to always follow me through, and so couldn't wait for her to join. Again, she joined through the reading program, and I can never boast enough about the reading program. So for any parents that's out there, if you're on the bench, that reading program just served as an amazing foundation for where we are today. So I think very few people in my network of friends or acquaintances, parents wise, that I haven't recommended Ant Learning to. And some of them have gone in, I've tried this, some have stayed, some have moved on for various different reasons. But the thing that I think they've had an understanding about the foundation that they get, and the fact that the classes are not overloaded with lots of students, so you get that that personal touch with the teachers as well, and the quality of the teachers you get with Ant Learning, honestly, it's amazing. I don't know that I've come across any teacher that I've felt like so about. I think Lara has really done a great job in picking out the teachers that she's picked. They all know what they're talking, especially as the children get older and they're getting advancing in their learning. There hasn't been a teacher that I think I've struggled to connect with or anything. They've all just been really amazing. You can approach them, you can talk to them, I'm sure Lara would have been told by all the teachers about my constant panicking and complaining about what my daughter's doing or not doing. And honestly, it's been a journey. And I think 11 plus it will humble you. It will humble you as a parent, as a person. It's not like Lara said, it is, as a parent, you panic more than the children. And one of the things that I think, I so glad I took the advice of Lara was about looking at how I structured her learning, her timing, especially during the holidays, the long summer holidays. She did the summer school as well. But there was a thing that Lara said about not overloading the child. And she always advocate for Rara about not cancelling her some of their activities, like, let her enjoy, have things that she's looking forward to, things that she will enjoy as well outside of the learning. And I think because of that, I was able to kind of like keep all her schedule going, all her activities going. And to God be the glory, she passed through all the exams, and we've gone through some independent school exams as well. She's really done very well with a lot of them. So getting through to interview stages, and also the interview preparation as well, has been amazing. Honestly, I think you just get like an all-rounder, and I think it's a testament to the kind of business Lara has built and the kind of teachers that she has in her cohorts, and the fact that she's always available to everybody. I don't know how she does it, because if I had a client like me, I probably would have I would have turned my phone off. I truly would have, because it was just like, Lara this, Lara that, Lara help this, Lara, and I think, like Janet said as well, when you're talking to other parents and sometimes they're telling you things that they're doing. So, again, like Janet as well, I'll go back to Lara and be like, oh, some people are doing this. Should we be doing that? She'll be like, no, it's not time. Just trust the process. It's okay. Don't, just keep trusting the process. And honestly, that has been, I just can't recommend enough. I don't have other experiences that out there, so maybe other people might have other things to do, but this one thing that I know is that you can't go wrong with Ant Learning, and I don't regret it. Like I said, my second daughter is also going through that process now, and I don't think I've ever thought about going anywhere else to do the preparation, because if one person has gone through and it's done well, then I don't see why I need to go anywhere else. And like I said, everything that you do, it's an investment as a parent. And I think not just your money, but your time as well, and to sit down and go through the work with your children, it requires your attention as well as a parent. So you can't expect the school to teach your children everything about life. You can't just kind of be like, oh yes, they're going to Ant Learning, so you just rest. You also have to kind of participate. And then the parent consultation helps as well, because then you're getting feedback on a regular basis anyway, but having that parent consultation gives you as a parent an opportunity to ask questions and to look at ways that you can support your child better, or what else you can do as a parent to just support your child, support the process, because it's a really it's very daunting, it's very demanding on the child, on that child as well. It's very, very demanding, and we sometimes do forget that they are only 9, 10, as they're going through, and then obviously they're going through their own changes and process of generally in life developing, becoming pre-puberty stage or whatever. So you have to keep all of that in mind. But yeah, it's one of the, I will be sad when I don't have to do that Saturday sessions. Probably will be glad to have my Saturday back, but then it would be very weird to not have ant learning to go to on a Saturday morning.
Oh, thank you.
So yeah, so if anybody that's here that's maybe in doubt, please.
I'm just gonna check if I've got any question for you, but yes, it's been a pleasure. Every time I think about Aurora, I'm always thinking about your husband is an accountant. Yeah, Aurora must do well, because if not, I have to pay back all his investments.
Exactly.
Because it constantly reminds me of that. So yeah, but it's been amazing. Thank you so much. You guys are our biggest fan, and you've brought a lot of people to us, and it's been a pleasure to serve. We want to make sure our teachers are kind, because for me, a child is more important than the 11 plus, as I always say, because they have to be looked after, because that's how they can access the information. Thank you so much. I've got a question, probably not for you, but if you want, can your child do the summer school, or would you not recommend it?
Oh, definitely. Summer school is, I think it just solidifies, especially because 6 weeks is such a long period for them to go without like a structured learning. Is a really long period for them to go without. So for me personally, I feel like summer school is an important part of the process as well. It's not fun for the children, and if you were to ask my children, they will let you know that no. they
we try to make it fun,
but yeah, but then they do have fun. They socialize in the process as well. But for me personally, I think that summer schools forms an important part of the process.
That's great. So. And based on the fact you mentioned interview, I'm just going to read this question. When does interview preparation start? How many weeks is this for? Are there any other activities to assist with interview prep? So I'll just answer that. But then, Abby, I know we did a session for Aurora. So the interview process, it happens when a parent approaches us. It's at an extra cost, and it depends on the first session. We assess how many weeks or session your child will require. And there are other activities to assist with interview prep. So I did write a short thing about what independent schools are actually looking for. So for curiosity, they're looking for a child that is willing to learn, ask questions, able to work as a team. So Rachel, if you don't mind popping, you can drop us an email at office@antlearning.co.uk, and I can send that to you. So different things you can do before that. But yes, it's an extra. And Abby, anything about the interview prep?
Yes, I think I just wish I'd started a lot earlier than I did, because I think it was something at the back of my mind, but then I just wanted her to get through the exams. And I think for Rachel, if you can start it earlier, the better, I think, because then I think it won't be such a rushed process. I think that's what I kind of felt like happened with my daughters.
You left it a bit too late.
Yeah, I did. I left it a bit late. So I think if you can start it as early as possible, just so that the child is more comfortable in their skin. And Lara has a way of, like, my daughter can be a bit shy and into herself, but she was able to kind of get things out of her, and and it makes a big difference. But I think earlier the better, personally.
And it's more about teaching our children how to show up. And when they are asked a particular question, tell us a little bit about yourself, being able to have a mind map of all the things they love doing, their family life, time at home, where they go, just so that they are able to talk about it in a way that the interviewer will at least be encouraged about. But thank you so much, Abby.
Thank you.
And, my regards to the accountant.
Yes, his money is working for him.
So much. Thank you.
I think there's another question.
There's another question. Yes. 1 second. What year would you recommend the summer school for 11 prep? Is it when they're in year 5 going to year 6? Do you want to talk and I can?
Yeah, I think probably a bit earlier than that, I would say, just because I think there's a lot to cover and there's a lot to do. And it just, for me, is like the longer time they have to prepare, the better it is for them. So if your child is in year 5 now or year 4, whatever, I would say give the summer school a try. And then I think they get used to it. It wouldn't become such a strange concept for them by the time to get into the summer before they're 11 plus. I think that will be a bit too late. But if they're in year 4 now, then I would say start the summer school. I mean, we started the summer school, I think, from year 2, if I'm correct. Yeah. But then again, I'm extra, I'll be like, all right, you're going.
No, but I think summer school serves different purpose for different children. It can be used to consolidate the previous year's academics or curriculum, or to look ahead. So if there's a particular area your child needs to consolidate, we encourage to use some of summer term. You can use a week or 2 or 3. We recommend the full 3 weeks. However, it depends on what your child needs. So if you're looking ahead into the next academic year, you can do that. Or if there's a particular area you need to consolidate. Yeah, so that can help. But I would say year 3 latest, because it just helps keep your child engaged over summer. James will be our final parent. Thank you so much, Abby. I appreciate you, and have a good evening. But yeah, it's just to say thank you so much for joining us. One thing I will leave with us is we have plans for our children. We have desires for our kids. We have to take action on it. Either you take action through getting somebody to support you, be clear on what you want for your child. Do you want the grammar school? Do you want a combination of both, that then you have a choice? But whatever you want, or the area your child needs support with, please do something about it, because as they grow, they get older and they're more aware. So for example, if your child is struggling with reading, do something about it. If it's maths, let's focus on it and decide on the help you need. If it's a tutor, if you're able to do it, don't leave it to last minute, because in school, it doesn't stop. They will learn more topics each week. So please take action. And how can we help with adult learning? As we said, interview prep, if your child will be doing the 7+. Also, we do have the 4+ program where we teach your children handwriting skills, reading skills, depending on if they're doing the 4+ assessment. We also support children 11+, grammar school, or the independent school, and general maths and English competence as well, up to year 10. So that's how we help. You can attend a taster session, a free assessment, just to see, one, where your child is and how we can help. If it's an assessment in reading or maths and English, if you contact us at AntLearning, office@antlearning.co.uk, or the website antlearning.co.uk/11+ prep, if your child is year 3, year 4, or 5. And you can also come in physically to do a taster session at Dartford, Salgate, or join us online if both of the centers are not accessible to you. We do the same curriculum that we offer at the center online. The only thing is less breaks. The children at the center probably get 15 minutes break within the 2 hours. Online, they do get a 5 minutes and 90-minute session. Yeah, so we would have to help. I have had a look at the chat. There is no other question, but if you do want to get in touch with us, you can give us a ring or email us at office@antlearning.co.uk. We'll be very happy to answer our questions. And it also gives me great joy to, if there's any question that you have, our phone number is 0208-050-5798. And yeah, you can get in touch. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's 5 minutes past 9, and I've taken 4 minutes of your time. But have a good evening, and remember, every child can and will make progress if they're in the right environment and by people that trust and believe in them. So have a good evening, and I wish our children success in their academics, and we'll be very happy to be part of them. Good evening and good night.
Good night.
Good night.